Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to day 9 of my 31 Days of October marathon of reviews. So like I said before in my other videos, this is the marathon for the month of October, where I review one horror film for each day in the month of October, leading on to Halloween. And, I reviewed, some classics that I, like, all these 31 reviews that I'm doing are some of my personal favorite horror films. I did some classic ones that I love, some underrated ones, and I did my favorite horror remake. So, let's review another classic. And as you can tell by the title, that review is going to be on this. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, of course, this is from the box set from many years ago, which I have. It's actually a really nice looking box set. But I know there's actually a special edition of this DVD, which I wouldn't mind picking up at one day down the road. But for now, I have this. This is the classic cover. But Nightmare on Elm Street, I mean, who else hasn't seen Nightmare on Elm Street? I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street is just one of those films that is just a classic. It introduced the character of Freddy Krueger, and just has a really very solid cast all around. I mean, I don't think I need to go into the plot about Nightmare on Elm Street, because you already know what Nightmare on Elm Street is already about. But about a guy who comes after you in your dreams, named Freddy Krueger, so don't fall asleep or you'll be killed in your dreams. I know that, of course, directed by the late, great Wes Craven. Wes Craven's a guy who I miss. I miss the guy a lot. I mean, Wes Craven did a lot of really good films as a director. I really enjoy Shocker, The People Under the Stairs, this film, Scream, many more. But I think this is definitely one of his best films, in my opinion, A Nightmare on Elm Street, because this is the one that introduced Freddy Krueger into the horror genre, because by this time, you've already had Michael Myers, Jason, and Leatherface. And then Freddy Krueger came along, and then Freddy Krueger became one of those top iconic horror characters. And then they would follow, after this one, then you would follow with things like, Pinhead and, what am I missing? Chucky. So, this is the one that put Freddy Krueger on the map for horror movie-wise. And, Robert Englund, the first time we get to see him as Freddy Krueger, this is without a doubt my favorite performance of Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Very dark, very, very creepy. Compared to, like, the sequels where he was, like, he cracked a lot of jokes, which I was fine with, because it's really hard to top the original film. So that's why they went with a more fun direction in the sequels, which I was fine with, because you can't top the original film. And, just Robert Englund's performance in this film is just so well done. And it really cemented him into the role of Freddy Krueger. And he always will be Freddy Krueger. And as for the other cast members, you have Heather Langenkamp as Nancy. You have Johnny Depp in his film debut as Glenn. And of course you have John Saxon as Nancy's dad. And, I mean, John Saxon, of course, you've seen him in, like, Enter the Dragon, among others as well. I mean, John Saxon's a very capable veteran actor. And, there's just so many great scenes in this film that you just remember, the whole Johnny Depp getting sucked into the bed, and then the blood coming out of the bed and onto the ceiling. Of course, the body bag being dragged out in the school hallway when Nancy sees that. And of course, the character, being thrown against the walls, being levitated in the air, things like that. I mean, there's just so many memorable moments in the film that you just remember. And on top of that, too, I mean, who can't forget, the very last scene of this movie where Freddy Krueger grabs Nancy's mother and pulls her through the door, and a shock moment ending. But yeah, this is just one of those films that is really hard for me to review. A film that's such a classic that everybody knows about. And that's why it's like really hard for me to review such films that are just classics, like Hellraiser and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, it's hard for me to review these films because what more can be said about these films that hasn't been said before? You know, it's a very solid film. It's a very solid cast. Really great musical score. I love the music in the film. You know, seeing all these very solid actors. You know, Heather Langenkamp, Johnny Depp, John Saxon. I think it's directed very well by Wes Craven. It's a very 80s film. A lot of great deaths in the film. And, you know, the introduction to the Freddy Krueger character really cemented him into the horror genre. And then you would have things like... Did you guys just see that? My bulb just went out. It's very, very creepy. I'm talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, and my bulb went out. Oh, now it went back on. I think I should stop reviewing horror films for this month, because I think there's some paranormal things going on around here. I'm just kidding. But anyways, you know, I'm not going to say much more about Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, I don't think I need to say anything more about this film that hasn't been said already. Good cast, you know, Nancy, you know, definitely one of my favorite final girls in a horror film. I mean, the character of Nancy is just great. Definitely one of my top favorite final girls in movies, and there goes the bulb again and again. But, you know, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, without a doubt, my favorite performance of his as the Freddy Krueger character. Just very dark and creepy. Great deaths, you know, Johnny Depp's death scene, the body bag in the hallway, the girl being levitated and thrown across the room, and things like that, and all that. I mean, the Nightmare on Elm Street is just such a classic film. I don't think I need to say more about this film. So that is it for my review for A Nightmare on Elm Street, and thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Alright guys, take care.